Hey, this is Chantel Girardi from Online Business Marketing, and today we're going to be focusing on social media insights. And the reason we're doing that today is because so many business owners and their marketing managers rarely, if ever, look at their results of what they're actually doing with their content marketing, and they just continue to wake up every day and do the same old thing without actually looking at the data to go, am I actually catching the right people? Is what I'm doing working? Should I be putting a little bit more intention and effort into this? Or should I be scrapping that completely and trying something new? So this is a really, really, really important non-negotiable inside a business for business owners and their marketing managers to do. If not weekly, then at least monthly, and I wouldn't do it any longer than that. However, I do know some people only do it half yearly or annually. So I recommend it should be done a little bit more than that. So social media platforms are absolutely super important for generating traffic to your website. Without social media, there is very little traffic to your website. So in order to get traffic to the website, we rely on social media. And also the number one fundamental thing that I always say when it comes to social media is get them the hell off social media. And what that means is we've got to get them off social media onto your website, onto your link tree, into a lead magnet, into your email list, to making a phone call or making a purchase. But the whole purpose of social media is actually to get somebody off social media. So we can make data-driven decisions with our content planning and what we're doing. And it doesn't have to be overwhelming. I actually call it a little bit cheeky, but I call it a toilet activity, checking your insights. So it doesn't have to be overwhelming. And I'm going to just show you today, and we're going to focus on the primary platforms that I really like to stick to, and that is Google, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, so that you can leverage your organic marketing. So social media, as we know, is the absolute foundation for every marketing strategy. And reading the data is going to tell us what's working or not working so that you can refine your content and you make sure that it resonates with your audience. It's actually landing at home. And analyzing these things can help you identify your target audience's preferences. So what do they like? What don't they like? So you can better do things. You can also adjust your content for higher engagement. So if you're doing it. So I know some people who pay for every reel, like they'll have somebody make them a reel for every reel that they do, and they might do 2 or 3 a week. It can cost them hundreds of dollars to get them to do that. Imagine if they didn't look at their data and that those reels weren't actually doing anything. They weren't actually growing the profile or increasing sales on the website. You can also improve your ROI by focusing on what delivers results. So again, you can just be a little bit more laser focused, and you can stay ahead of current trends and keep your brand relevant. Because in the olden days, we remember the yellow book. You used to have the yellow book that you could hit someone over the head with, the little directory with all the businesses inside it. And that book was relevant for a whole year. And then next year, you'd get a whole new book. Guess what? Now it's like, you are not relevant at all. You're not forefront of mind. There's a gazillion of you online. The reality is whoever does it better gets the customer. And this is something that we really need to pay attention to. So we have to stay trendy. In the olden days, you didn't have to stay trendy. Nowadays, we've got to stay trendy. It doesn't matter how old you are, you've still got to be trendy online. All right, so let's start with Google, because Google's obviously the number one search engine in the world. And for this, we're talking about your Google business profile. Many people don't even realize that that is a social media platform. People do go on there, they search, and they do engage by leaving reviews. And because Google's the number one search engine, you want to make sure that you are ticking the right boxes and stroking the right backs when it comes to Google My Business. So it's an absolute game changer, especially for local businesses. So if a business actually has a shop front, it is absolutely imperative that you get the strategy right. So it helps your business appear in Google's local searches and in Google Maps, and it drives customers to take action like calls, visit, or click through to your website. So why wouldn't you do it? So the key metrics for you to track would be your inquiries. So this would be understanding your customers and what they're searching for. So when you go into your performance, it's called performance in Google. It's not called analytics or insights. I like to use the right words so you can find it. So it's called performance. And when you click into it, you go and have a look, it'll actually say to you what people are searching for. For example, most people, when they come to my Google listing, are actually searching for Chantal Girardi, which means my personal brand is a really important thing. Having my name out and about is an important thing because people are actually searching for my name. They're not just searching for my business name. But in there, you'll find a couple of other keywords and things as well. So you know now to plant into those words. And then on top of it, you can look at customer actions. So you can look at whether or not people are calling you, how many calls you've had, how many people have clicked on directions to your business, and how many people have clicked through to your website to show you how your Google's been working in people actually taking action. So I don't want people to be calling me, and I don't want people to be coming to my house from where I work. So therefore, for me, I really track mostly I track my website clicks because I want people to go to the website because there they can book a call with me. So also make sure that, what you're tracking is actually relevant to the strategy that you have. And then you can have a look at your views. So you can determine whether or not your business is actually visible. So you can have a look at the photos that you're adding and see whether or not people are actually looking at those photos, like how many views you've got. So let's just talk about how then you'd adapt your strategy based on the data that you get. So for example, if you're finding that people are searching you more in maps than they are searching for you just in Google, then you could think about optimizing your address on Google or adding geo-targeted keywords like best coffee shop near Brisbane. So post regular updates about offers, events, or new products to boost your engagement. So again, you need to be going in there and it's called updates. It's not called posting. So in your Google listing, it's called updates. You need to post an update, which is an offer, an event, and an update. And you need to be doing that, frequently. And then you need to focus on improving customer reviews to increase your ranking because Google goes, who's ticking my boxes, who's doing the right thing. And if people like you, then people are searching for your stuff. I'm actually going to bring you up in the search engines. All right, so let's talk about number 2, which is YouTube. YouTube's the second search engine in the world. And we're going to talk about, we're going to include shorts in there as well, because I'm going to tell you a little story. But YouTube helps you to build authority and to expand your reach. And it is also a worldwide thing. So we're currently working with a coach who's using YouTube. And because they're an Australian-based business and only want to focus on Australia, it's important to put the Australian words in there because else you are going to reach a wider audience. It is a long game when it comes to YouTube and looking at your data and optimizing it is absolutely fundamental. To give you an indication of that, I've got a video that's been up for about 3 years. It is my top performing video that's had over 5,000 views, which is really small in the scheme of things. But I have gotten a coaching client from that video who was in France. Although I mainly work with Australians and anyone else who wants to work in the Australian time zone. But that just gives you an indication of how YouTube can work. So YouTube's the second largest search engine, and it's all about long form videos and YouTube shorts, which again are like stories or Snapchats. Shorts are video short form, and it's designed to capture attention quite quickly and to boost visibility. Now, if I hadn't looked at my data for my YouTube channel, I would not have known. But when we post shorts, that are a short snippet of what we've actually done with regards to a YouTube video, our followers increase by about 300% every time based on if we just post the video and we don't do a short. So shorts have become a fundamental part of our strategy right now in December 2024. I always have to put the date in because you never know when it's going to change. So this is really key because that shows you the value of that. If I hadn't looked at my analytics, I wouldn't have known. But suddenly my YouTube channel started getting so much more subscribers and I was going, oh, is it my content? What is it? It was because we're posting shorts. So really important. So what are the key metrics to track? Well, first you want to look at watch time and retention. So you want to identify the content that keeps viewers engaged. So for example, if you're creating a 30-minute, masterclass on something and people are tapping out to 10 minutes, how can you keep that audience engaged? Okay. Or perhaps you need to create shorter content. You've got to think about who's your ideal client and how do they consume content. Your traffic sources. So you want to know where your views are coming from. So is it coming from, and it tells you inside your dashboard in YouTube. It's called YouTube Studio. So again, it's not called Insights. It's your dashboard inside YouTube Studio. And inside there, you can have a look at your traffic sources and it'll go. It's coming from social media. It's coming from external links, coming from your website. So it'll actually show you where, or suggested videos. It'll show you where it's coming from. And that information is really important for you. Other key metrics to track would be your click-through rates. So how compelling and your titles are. So YouTube is all about that thumbnail, capturing the right person and getting them to click and watch. That is the absolute most fundamental, as well as the title. So the title needs to be a SEO. It needs to be an SEO. When I say that, people go, what? But really, it needs to be the words that your customer are using to search for you needs to be there. And if you're uncertain about that, you can go into answerthepublic.com, and I think you get 3 searches a day where you can put in words, 2 words about what you've just created content on, and then it will spit out what people are actually searching for about that, so you can create a title. Then you want to have a look at some of the other analytics, like your views and your reach, your engagement rate. So look at your likes, your comments, and your shares, because they're going to give you an indication on how engaging your content is. And then your completion rate. So determine whether or not your viewers are watching everything to the end. So whether or not it's your video or your shorts, are they watching it to the end? So for example, I had a client who was making like a 90-second reels. Her audience was only ever watching, 45 seconds. So therefore 1 reel could really be 2 reels. Made them into 2 reels instead of 1 reel, and now it's performing so much better. So strategies like that, right? You've got to look at if people are watching through. So how do you use that data for your YouTube strategy? Well, if your retention rates are stopping for shorts after 10 seconds, then you want to create stronger hooks. So you've got to constantly be engaging your audience to stay engaged and to stay forefront of mind so that you don't lose them in your content. You want to also create then content on more high-performing topics, so that you can capitalize on audience interests. So this is the other thing. If you're speaking in your language and you're not speaking in their language, you'll lose them. If you're providing content about what you like and not what they like, you're going to lose them. So it's important that whatever you producing is actually targeted towards them. You can also use shorts to tease longer form content, which drives traffic to your main videos. And as I said, that was a key strategy for our subscribers to go up. And then optimizing those thumbnails and titles to improve your click-through rate. Your click-through rate is absolutely fundamental. You want that to be going up, and it's all about that title and it's all about that thumbnail. If videos are not working on YouTube, you can go and just change the title and change the, even if it was 3 years ago, even if the video was 3 years ago, you can change the title, change the thumbnail, and it may improve your results. So I encourage you, for non-performing videos that you think the content's good for, go in and consider changing the thumbnail and the title. All right, so let's talk about LinkedIn, your B2B platform. So LinkedIn is the ultimate platform for B2B networking and personal branding. It helps establish you as a thought leader, and it also helps connect you with decision makers in industries. So key metrics to track are impressions and engagement rates. You want to have a look at how well your content resonates with your audience. Then you want to track your profile views. So track whether or not posts are driving curiosity about your profile or your business. So you want to make sure that your profile views are going up all the time. Okay, I had a client whose profile views were at nothing. We worked on a LinkedIn strategy. It's only been 1 week, and I think she's on 66 profile views this week. Because when you create relevant content, it's going to attract right people to come and have a look at your profile. Follow a demographic. So you want to understand who's engaging with your brand based on job roles and industries, because LinkedIn is different. So you have to look at who the B2B person is and what that role is and what they call themselves in the role. And you've got to make sure that you're creating content for those people. So how do we use this data to optimize your strategy? Well, if engagement rates are higher on posts targeting marketing managers, you want to refine your content to speak directly to pain points, such as how to maximize your marketing budget. So again, I always talk about a scroll stoppable headline that stops the right person from scrolling. So you want to focus on posts that generate high engagement, such as thought leadership articles. So And longer form content can work as well. So we create articles on LinkedIn, which is longer form, but we also create, educational content on there as well. You can repurpose content from other platforms, but it does need to be relevant to that audience on that platform. And that's where people generally go wrong. You want to focus on posts that generate, you want to adjust your messaging if your ideal audience isn't engaging. So if your ideal audience isn't engaging, you want to make sure that you're adjusting your messaging, but you also got to make sure you got the right people on there as well. So I'm going to add that in because that's not in my notes. But if the wrong people are on your platform, then the messaging's not going to hit, even if your messaging's right. So you got to make sure that there's a connect. Post during peak times when your audience is most active. So looking at your engagement times is going to help you to determine when are the peak times, when should you actually be posting. So let's talk about Facebook, where you can build community and drive traffic. So Facebook remains one of the most versatile platforms for engaging. Sorry, I've never heard that noise come from my phone before, and it's turned on silent, so that's weird. Let's go back to that. Humming, right. Weird phone noise after my phone ran an update. Let's try that again. Facebook. So yeah, one of the most engaging platforms with diverse audiences, and really, really can drive organic traffic to your website, especially if you use like a Facebook group strategy as well. So key metrics to track on Facebook: post reach and impressions. You can measure how far your content is spreading. And whether or not it's to followers and non-followers. So I always look at that because it's great that your content's going to your followers, because you want to make sure that you're building that know, like, and trust. But your strategy also has to include getting to non-followers as well, right? Because you've got to make sure that you're building your platforms. So determine whether or not your audience is actually engaging in your posts. And this one's a bit of a hard one, because engaging, a lot of people thinks it's like comments, like shares, and sometimes people just won't do it, especially if they're in a certain demographic. Like older demographics don't tend to engage as much, but they're engaging here the whole time, which is really important. I've had people who've come and worked with me after 5 years, and they go, I've been following you on social media, I've been watching your stuff. They've never engaged, I've never seen their name ever, and now they've reached out to work with me. So I think engagement it's important to monitor it, but I think that, I mean, I've had some people made the decision to go, I'm not going to post anymore because it's just not engaging, whereas you are engaging them here, which is the most important thing if you're not engaging them here. So super important. So you want to also use the Insights dashboard to track your reels, your reach, your saves, and your shares. Now, I do want to say something about Facebook and Instagram. Depending on what your primary platform is. So for me, my primary platform is it's not Instagram. My favorite platform, my primary platform is Facebook, meaning I get more clients out of Facebook, and it grows faster, and we get better results out of Facebook. So we spend 80% of our time there and 20% on branding consistency across our other platforms. So when I create reels on Facebook, because Facebook's my primary platform. Now, when I do that, I get heaps of engagement and interaction. And I'm going to use the ray gun one as an example. So my ray gun one that I posted on Facebook got something like 15,000 views, I think, the last time I looked. And then it just automatically shared across to my Instagram page because I just let it go there. And I think I've got about 300 or something on Instagram. However, if Instagram was your primary platform, I'd recommend that you go onto Instagram and you post on Instagram and let it go across to Facebook. If Facebook and Instagram are both your primary platforms, and that's the way you want to do it, post independently. Don't let it flick across. Right now, December 2024, that is what's working. If you post and let it go somewhere else, it doesn't work. If you post organically in that platform, it does work. Okay. Now, the way that we know that is because I track my data. I go in and I have a look, and I know what's working or not working. So I know how that works. So how do you use the data for strategy? Well, when it comes to, say, for example, Reel Analytics, you want to be checking out the content insights to see which reels generate the most saves and shares. And you also want to monitor completion rates. So how many people watch it from beginning to end? So for example, if a reel with quick tips has a higher completion rate than a promotional one, then pivot to creating more value-driven, bite-sized reels. So you want to focus on content types like videos or polls that generates the most engagements. Now, I've got some clients who do polls and they work exceptionally well on Facebook. And most people will say to you, they do not work on Facebook. And I've got a client and they're working so well on Facebook. I've got others, and Instagram's supposed to work really well in stories with polls, and it does not work for them. So again, you've just got to work out your target audience and see what their rhythm is and whether or not that's something that they are likely to do. The other thing is, are they likely to do it, or are the polls you're running just sucky, meaning that the content you're creating or the questions you're asking are not actually relevant to them? So that's the other thing. So you want to be checking your insights dashboard, but you also want to be looking at each content insights. I'm going to say this again because this is vital. You can have a look at your week, you can have a look at your month insights, but you can go and look specifically at each individual post's insights. And I encourage you to do it. Again, toilet activity is what I like to call it. But it's absolutely fundamental. I'll give you a key one of this. When I was in the Philippines presenting to 200 virtual assistants on how to manage social media, I went snorkeling. When I went snorkeling, I did this most beautiful reel on Facebook. It got like, I think about 3,000 views. And I was like, oh, that must be like the most engaging post that I've done all week. And when I went in and I did my week and I had a look at my week, a person would go that a still post wouldn't outdo a reel, right? That's what a person would do. I had posted a picture just of me lying in bed with my laptop, and I wrote a post about laptop lifestyle and how tough it actually is and all the things that you have to consider. That post did about 8,000 views, impressions. And if I hadn't gone in and had a look, I might have gone, oh, well, I'm never going to do a single post, like a single picture post ever again. But that post actually outshone my reel. So really, really important that you go in and you look at the content analytics as well as the whole week insights as well. Instagram. So great way to inspire and engage with visual content. All right. Usually for a visual demographic, usually a bit younger, for visual products. So Instagram's an ideal platform for showcasing your brand and building deep connections with your audience. So you want to look at your engagements, so your likes, your comments, your shares, and your saves to see what's resonating. You want to look at your reach and your impressions to make sure that to measure the visibility of your content. And then you want to, again, when you're checking your reels, you want to check your reels and the overall dashboard for that, but then you also want to check the individual content analytics as well. You want to look at your reach and your plays. So how many people are actually viewing your reels versus how many people are actually playing it. And then you want to look at saves and shares. Watch time and completion rates are really important. So if you've got a low completion rate, it means you're not engaging them throughout and you're losing them. So you've got to keep them hooked. So how do you use the data for your strategy? Well, if reels about behind the scenes outperforms your product shots, then focus on more storytelling content that showcases your team or your culture. You want to double down on high-performing content that high-performing content formats like reels or carousels. When it comes to Instagram, reels and carousels reach a wider audience than your still posts at this time and place. However, we notice that stories draws traffic to our actual content. So stories are a really quick and easy thing to do as well. So you want to make sure that you want to use Instagram stories to create authentic behind the scenes content and regular update hashtags to improve your reach and target new audiences. All right, so those are all our primary platforms. So how do you make data-driven decisions across all these platforms? So regardless of what platform you're using, these are the best practices, which will help you turn your insights into actionable strategies. And that is, you need to set a clear goal. So what does success look for you? What does success look like for you online? And as I said, in our next VIP session, we're going to be doing a goal planning session for the year, where we're going to do an absolute whole entire year, where we're going to map out your goals. Because if you don't have an overall goal for your marketing plan, then what? So you've got to look at your overall success so that you can at least measure it. Is it engagement? And if someone says engagement, I'll probably smack you. For me, rather than engagement, it'll be growth on social media with qualified leads. But really what it is website traffic and conversions. It's getting people off social media. You want to make sure that you experiment and you refine things. So, for example, if something's not working, you stop it and you go and change it and you do something else. You try something else. You try other days, you try other times, you try other titles, you try other key messaging. Give it some time, give it a month, give it 2 months. And make sure that obviously the audience on your platform is right, because else that's not true data if the content you're creating is not to the audience that's on there. But really your content should qualify and disqualify people, because that's how it starts to train the algorithm. And then, of course, make sure that you're reading your reports regularly. So whether or not it's weekly, whether or not it's monthly. Weekly, I like to look at my week. I just sit there and I look at my week and the content for the week, and I have a look at which ones have done well. As I said, toilet activity. But then I go and I do sort of bigger ones at the end of the month, going, okay, let's look at the overall plan and go, what can we refine and change? You can also engage actively. So it can help you with your engagement. So for example, if people are engaging and they're writing stuff, it's really important that you reply to them. Using your insights can help you understand who your audience is a lot better, so that you can refine your responses to people in your comments. And then you've got to be able to stay agile. So, social media algorithms are changing frequently, and I hate it when people say that, because it makes people actually stop or not try hard. I actually would like to throw that all out the way and go, rubbish. You've just got to be more consistent, like just more consistent and keep monitoring, rather than blame the old algorithm. Because even when the algorithm changes and things change, I pivot with it. So, we've continued to get results. So that's social media insights, and making data-driven decisions. Thanks to our online audience who hopefully have waited till the end to watch this. I'll go back to my insights on YouTube and have a look and see how long you watched and when you got bored and left us. But for those of you who did stay, in order to be part of the live audience, you do need to be a paying client or a member. In order to do that, you can have a look in the comments below, or you can jump onto onlinebusinessmarketing.com.au and you can book a call. But for the live audience today, what happens now is that we actually go behind the scenes and we actually have a look at insights and dashboards and what are some other words, performances and YouTube Studio, because they couldn't all have the same name. They all decided they'd have different names to keep you on your toes. So thank you. This is Chantel Girardi from Online Business Marketing.